last episode of Kids on Bikes, Fred, George, and the rest of the squad went to the old town hall and coal museum, where some spooky things were going down. Some of those bright green blob/cloud creatures seem to have taken over the coal museum. We learned that Micah not only can turn herself and other people invisible, but that they can also speak to animals. And then we explored the Old Town Hall and Coal Museum, identified that there was a mine shaft in the coal museum, and are now on a minecart ride. And that's where we are picking up, hurtling down a minecart track in what
I was going to say, such a gentle way of putting it, a minecart ride for what's going on right now.
Listen, we might not be having a good time, but we're maybe not having the worst time we could be having.
Hank is having the time of his goddamn life.
We don't think of the yeah, some of us are having a fun time.
Hank has never had a better time.
So all five of you are in this minecart, and had the option to go down one of two tunnels, one with a glowing green light down it, and another that was a multiple foot drop. And almost all of you opted for the drop. So you are now even lower and in an even darker part of the mine. As the cart continues to rattle at full tilt down this track, all of you can get the sense that this part of the mine was either not as well maintained or has decayed a little more. There are some missing slats, which you can tell because the wheels are kind of bumping over this track. And as the minecart turns an abrupt corner, it sort of half tips forward and then comes to a stop, leaving the group of you sitting in the pitch black, with just the flashlight. And you can hear, now that the minecart is no longer rattling, in this sudden stillness, a murmur of voices from somewhere below you, although you cannot make out exactly what they are saying.
Hey, Fred, do you have like a flashlight or something?
Yeah, Fred definitely still has her crank flashlight, which I'm actually looking for mine now, but...
Kodi checks around with everyone, asks everyone if they're okay.
I think Micah gives you a thumbs up and then realizes you can't see it, and then like puts their thumb like an inch from your face so that you like definitely see it.
Fred will shine a light on everybody like going down the line so everyone can nod or put their thumbs up. Basically do a head count of everyone. Like, is everyone still here? Did anyone fall out?
Good Bromwell scout instincts.
Shiloh could never.
Oh, get them.
That shade.
So we should keep going, right?
Where?
Where are the voices coming from?
From below you.
Can I look down and see, are we like on a surface? Is it like stopped in the middle of like a standing rail, or could we get out and walk around?
So you are, as you shine the flashlight down, you can see you are still on that rail that you were on before, but there are 3 slats missing. So the front wheels of your cart kind of dropped down into this space between the last slats and the ones moving forward. Shining the light down, it looks like about a 10-foot drop to the floor of whatever leads in other directions. Shining like the flashlight forward and behind you, it seems like there are long caverns of this mine where you could head in either direction on foot, were you to to get below this track. And it continues long enough that you can't fully make it out, but you're currently kind of suspended in this cart.
I think Micah's going to use her doesn't speak good listener to sort of like drop to that space in the ground to like really like put her ears close as possible to see if she can hear anything.
Yeah, go ahead and roll brains for Micah. And Micah's brains stat is actually her D20.
19.
Nice. The voices that you can hear are definitely coming from up ahead, not back the way you came. So if you were to drop to the ground below this track, or
I'm so sorry. I forgot that I wasn't muted. I am so sorry.
You're totally good.
But that is occasionally the sound you hear as Fred just every once in a while like starts to fade, and she like goes and like just starts cranking it again.
I think Micah's throwing you some looks like, I'm listening here.
For context, listeners, Emma pulled out you're totally good, pulled out a crank flashlight that like the one Fred has, and those are... She will
look down to Micah and be like, oh, so sorry, and stop cranking it.
Micah can tell that if the group of you, or you could also walk along this track in front of the cart, but if you continued in that direction, probably the voices would get louder.
Okay, so I think Micah just like points ahead really confidently, maybe like holds a hand to her ear to signal, or like does little like talking hands, like does something to signal like talking, move forward that way.
Well, let's go then. Hank is just gonna get out of the cart and start kind of carefully walking along the track.
George will follow them from a distance.
Kodi follows and like jogs a little bit to catch up to to catch up to Hank.
Yeah, Fred'll follow. Flashlight, looking around, keeping an eye out.
Fred, are you kind of trying to bring up the rear, or are you up ahead of George?
I mean, if George is, I would assume not. If George is making a conscious effort to be in the back, Fred doesn't care. She'll go. She doesn't have to be last. If George needs to be last, Fred does not care. There are bigger worries at this moment than George's whole deal.
Incredible. As you continue along this track, Micah and Hank leading the way, if you glance down every so often, you can actually see that the distance between the track and the ground below it are increasing. So as you continue down, you were kind of 10 feet above the ground, and then maybe about 12 feet, and then maybe about 14, as the slope of the ground is greater than the gradual slope of this track. And as you continue, you sort of hit an abrupt bend in the track as well, like a sharp turn to the side. And the voices that you could hear before below are much louder and much further down. It's sort of like it seems as though there might be a sudden drop around the corner. And that might be also where you find your people.
Are we close enough to hear what they're saying at all? If we listen really, really hard?
Yeah, I think as you draw near, you start to hear these voices. And one of them is kind of lower and less intelligible, and one of them is sharper and louder. And after a few exchanges, and as you get closer, you can identify this voice. And it's the voice of the mayor, Bernarda Novak. And Bernarda, is saying to whoever this other person or people are, my understanding is that the security in the BromCom building has not been adequate. And considering the great care we need to take with this project, I would have hoped that you would all be taking this more seriously. And you hear that same kind of sort of reticent response from the other party that you can't quite make out. And Bernarda says, I understand that you've been juggling a lot, but I don't have time to babysit you. I have a lot of other things going on in my life. And then you hear the voices stop. And Bernarda says slightly quieter, where did you hear someone?
Oh no.
Micah should now turn all of us invisible, perhaps.
Ooh. Oh, that might be a lot though, but...
Oh yeah, I forgot it.
You can have her do it.
Well, maybe she could turn one of us
now?
invisible and they cause a distraction.
I also have unassuming, so I could potentially stay out of sight and try to distract them.
How far a drop is it down to where they are? Can we tell, or just far?
So right now it's about a 14-foot drop, but you can see you're around the bend, sort of out of sight. Were you to walk around the corner, it is a sudden drop off into the below.
I would have turned off my Fred would turn off her flashlight as the voices got closer, so we don't draw any
Reveal
attention
yourselves.
unwanted. Mm-hmm.
Can we hear footsteps at all? Does it sound like they're moving, or are they holding still?
It sounds like people are quietly conferring. The voices have become intentionally hushed, as though they might be planning to respond.
Is there actually, no, I don't need to look for a rock or something. I will pull out my pet rock, Sandy.
No.
Unless there is any other piece of debris on this track nearby that I could take.
I think the debris is probably a little close to the walls. You could try to pry up a plank, but they're nailed in.
I'm 11 years old. I feel like that's
strength roll now.
Yeah.
I've got rubber bands and
well, the thing that I could throw is the BromCom keychain, but that feels like if they find it, they're gonna know.
Unless one of their people just has one and maybe they could drop it, but I just don't want to sacrifice Sandy.
No, I feel like let's see if this works before we tax Micah's powers. Hank will say a very solemn and quick goodbye to Sandy. And then throw the rock as far as he can in the opposite direction of where they are to try and hit a wall.
Gotcha. So where you are right now, just to clarify, is you're kind of at this end with a bend in the track. So you can throw the rock behind you back the way you came, or you can throw it forward towards the voices, but there's not really an
other direction.
Yeah, and there's not another direction for you to throw this rock in.
If everybody starts leaving, I can try to use unassuming and make some sound where we are right now so that y'all can get away and they'll be distracted for a little while.
But then what will happen to you?
I don't know. I kind of feel like like if there's something really important to see, then like I would do it, but also maybe we should just go.
Unless, we threw something behind us so they, like, ran past where we are and maybe we could scamper down. But I'm not... I mean, I wonder our options are. If
they have any kind of illumination, we can't hide. Like, we're standing on a
true.
Track.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw the rock in their direction, like, towards them. And then, like, gesture that everybody should run back towards the cart.
Can I get a brawn roll for the efficacy of this rock throw, Hank?
6.
So you throw this rock decently. You were also 11. And this rock hits the wall. So you're trying to like throw it at an angle to like...
I just want to make a lot of noise. Yeah.
Yeah. And the rock hits the wall, like just out of your sight, and drops to the ground. And there's a slight clink, and then from around the corner, you see a green glow.
Oh no!
Around the corner from where we came, or from
the direction that Hank threw the rock in.
Oh,
and you are speed walking back to the cart.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is the cart stuck where it is? Would we need to
The cart is stuck where it is.
Oh fuck.
Okay. So can we all together lift it?
Yeah, out of and maybe push it back the way we came.
Yes,
I know there was a drop.
You can push it. With the 5 of you, as heavy as this cart is, I think you would kind of be able to maneuver it up and start like manually pushing it uphill up this track. Do any of you look behind you as you're starting to wiggle this cart?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
The greatest number of these green cloud blobs that you've seen so far is 2, I believe. Right now you're looking at 8 of them.
Yeah, I think we abandoned the cart and run.
Yep. Are they, quick question, GM, are they floating on the same level as the track, or are they down on the ground?
They are kind of at all different levels, like floating
around
this cavern like bubbles.
Yeah,
wait,
forget the cart.
We know they don't like water though, right? Or no, they don't like animals.
They don't like animals unless there's any like bats or something in here. I think we're
Are there any do I think there would be any bats hiding in here that maybe like we could cause something that would like send all the bats in here flying around maybe? Or is that too crazy?
You would know, Fred, from your time as a Bromwell scout, that bats are native to the caves of this region.
They are.
Hey,
Micah could yell out like, "Bats, assemble!"
She just does like silent echolocation.
Could Micah maybe use her either some kind of sound talk with animals or her Polaroid to maybe create a flash that would wake them all up or something and send them scattering?
Oh, I worry about alerting to our exact position.
That's true. Yeah.
But if it's a power move,
Yeah, I like the talking with animals maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I would love, I think Micah, calls out in echolocation to the bats.
Yeah, can you roll 2d4 for me?
Mm-hmm.
And we're spending a psychic energy token, so taking Micah from 7 to 6.
Cool. I rolled 5.
Nice. On the ceiling above you, a glow that contrasts with the green blobs floating towards you. You see like 2 little red dots looking back at you that you realize are the eyes of a bat, and then dozens and dozens more of those little red lights appear on the ceiling, as you realize that all of these bats have just taken up residence in this not on fire, tenuously on fire. It doesn't feel hot here. Old mine. And you hear kind of a chatter and a ripple as these bats, suddenly responding to Micah, swoop down kind of in a shockingly coordinated motion for a swarm of bats, and charge at these floating green blobs. And the green clouds recoil with like a speed and, for having no facial features, terror that is maybe unexpected for them, and just go zipping back around the corner. And you hear a shout of alarm from Bernarda and 2 other voices, it sounds like, you can now tell. And you hear Bernarda yell, "What are they doing?" As the bats just like shrieking pursue these clouds back around the corner. And as the glow, so that the cavern becomes darker again, since you don't have the flashlight on, and the clouds are also now back in the main space, becomes darker. You see like just a little flash before she's kind of obscured by the dark of Micah's nose is bleeding again.
I think we gotta get out of here. Maybe without the cart.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Let's ditch it.
Yeah, I'll give Micah a bandana too, so she can wipe away the blood as we start to head away.
Great. I also have a flashlight. I have it written in my pack as just flashlight, so I don't know if it's graying.
You gotta. It's fine. But do you have the battery? If you've got batteries, you're good.
So I check my flashlight. Does it have?
Of course,
work?
yes.
You have one of those like little flashlights you can get at the gas station where you like turn it and they come in like that metallic pink, or that metallic one of those little guys. So like it gives you light, but it doesn't hold a candle to Fred's heavy duty sort of camping situation, but it is more light.
I just like point it straight at the track, just to for us to be aware of obstacles. And I start running.
Yeah, no, you're not really seeing any obstacles. You are seeing some missing slats, so it's good that you have this light facing down as you run back, and it's you're probably running for about a minute and a half, the group of you, before you get to that part of the track below where, looking up, you can see it was like the 10-foot drop that your cart fell down.
Shit. So we gotta, our only way out is to get up there.
What does the ground below us look like? Is it like in front of us is like a cliff, and like above there is where the thing is, the drop off is, or is it like still a slope?
It's so the ground below this track is about 10 feet down. Mm-hmm. The track above you is about 10 feet above that, so about 20 feet up from the ground.
I guess my question is, if I'm looking at the ground where we are versus the ground where the one higher up to us is it that the track goes up, or is it that the whole like ground goes up, which is why the track's going up? Basically, I'm wondering if we can climb down and keep running in that direction, or if we'd still need to climb something.
It is 10 feet down, but you could get down and keep running. There's not a huge vertical drop or anything. It's just that flat cave ground.
What do you guys want to do? Should we climb down and keep running?
Yeah, let's just move as fast as we can.
Yeah, at least we know that direction, yeah.
Okay.
So this is about a 10-foot drop, and you are You are children. What is this like dismount strategy look like?
You are children.
Oh, Emma, you have prepared, right? Do you have any rope or anything?
I do. I think Fred would absolutely, possibly, if I could use that to say that she would have some kind of rope, at least 10 feet of it. It's probably like something pretty small but sturdy that wouldn't take up too much space.
Does she have one of those like paracord bracelets?
Absolutely. Got that. She's got some carabiners. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's an eminently reasonable thing for someone like Fred to just be carrying around.
Listen. Yes. She'll try to sacrifice. It's like I guess we can use this to climb down, and she'll fully like latch one onto the God, I think what she does is like try to latch a carabiner onto and honestly, I'm tempted to say that she has those carabiners that little writing say not for climbing usage, because like why would you buy just thinks that it'll be fine, but like latches one onto her belt loop, like onto the belt loop, and has the rope, and then one onto like the track, and we'll start to climb down and presumably be ready to throw it out, like the next person can pull it up, and she's like, yeah, you guys can pull it up afterwards and climb down, and she'll give it a shot.
Can I get this is like a fun makeshift contraption you're making. Can I get a brains roll from Fred for...
Absolutely. Can I take half and get 10?
Yeah, you can.
Awesome.
And I think that does it. This is... You've I imagine watched a lot of nature TV about...
God bless, she
rock
has.
Climbing and
Too
things.
Much. Too much.
And so this is maybe like... Perhaps a professional like climbing instructor would be dubious, but for the 10 feet between the track and the ground.
Feet, exactly, for 10 feet, and also mostly climbing down, just holding on to like the wooden like strats and stuff like that, I think, yeah.
It holds up just fine, and you're able to throw that rope back up to your compatriots. And Micah will lean into like the light of your flashlight, which you still have, and give you a little thumbs up.
Sweet. I climbed down.
Yep, let's go.
So you are now on the ground of this mine, beneath the track. You can go back the way you came, which you know is a kind of a downward slope and then a drop, or you can head back towards the exit under this minecart track. Which way do you go?
Are the people towards the exit?
The people are the opposite way, so the opposite of the way that you've been running.
Okay. So, sorry, I'm just trying to get my bearings. We've been running the way we came from.
Yes.
Correct? And so the people are the opposite way, and there's also an exit that way?
You don't know what's that way because you didn't go around the corner.
Gotcha.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of curious.
Well, I feel like George looks at Micah and kind of like accusingly asked her, like, well, what now? I mean, you wanted us to come down here. What is it that you want?
I think Micah, because she's scared of George, takes like a couple steps back and is just kind of looking at her, just sort of blankly.
George sighs and says, no, really, though, you are the one with the powers. So I feel like maybe you might know something more or something. So maybe you should, like, what do you want to do?
And she holds out her hands, Fred, for your notepad again.
Yep, Fred will hand it back.
And Micah writes, we should find out what the mayor is doing.
That's what I was afraid of.
But is this the best place and time to do that? Or should we... I mean, I kind of want to... I've got some pretty radical parents who distrust the government.
And they'll start a grassroots campaign. We're gonna get an investigative team in there.
They will make a petition in 2 seconds.
I mean, if like theoretically the most trustworthy person in our whole town, and also whoever's in charge of like the only way that most people in our town make money, are doing something bad, I don't know that I trust like any adult to do anything about it.
Or even if they try, I don't know if anything will happen.
I feel like we should get more information, and also we should try and stop the bad people. And maybe the second part happens later, but the first part we could do right now.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know any way to fight those green goo monsters.
Well, we're friends with so many bats.
Yeah, but it hurts Micah.
Well, Micah's the one that wants us to keep going.
Is there any way we could sneak and so they wouldn't see us?
Yeah, we can be really quiet. And there's so much, the bats are making so much noise that like, who could hear? Yeah,
maybe they thought the noise was earlier was the bats and they won't expect anybody else to be coming.
Yeah, I kind of want to see who's there at least. Like maybe Benny's in on it.
I think Benny's probably in on it.
I bet Benny's the mastermind.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere around us? Is there anywhere around us where something small could be hidden? Like a rock that could have something hidden under it?
There are probably like cave formations that like not exactly a rock you could pick up with like, it's not like a hermit crab cave situation, but there are rocks you could kind of pile up to put something under, or rock outcroppings that you could slide something behind.
Cool. So Kodi's going to take out his beeswax food wrap and
yes,
just wrap his BromCom keychain in it, and then use a rubber band and like tie it to a like stalagmite or something. Because he knows that like no one else in this town uses beeswax food wrap. So like if his parents find it, that's like a clue for them.
Yeah.
I think at this moment Kodi is like approaching this as solemnly as an 11-year-old can, and like
I almost thought about putting a note up there or something, but I was so afraid that like someone else would find it. But that's like the perfect thing of like potentially innocuous and also absolutely Kodi.
Yeah, so I hide that. I don't like write anything because I don't want to make it look too obvious, so I don't like write a note or anything. So I leave that and then turn around and say, okay, if you all think that we should solve this right now, then I'll help.
It's really brave of you.
Sometimes being brave is just admitting you're scared.
You know, Kodi, just when I start to respect you, you say something that just, I can't.
A single tear is falling down Hank's cheek as he's actually very deeply moved.
Kodi says, that's okay, George. The amount of respect I have for you hasn't changed.
I love Kodi so much. Oh my God.
Hank is gonna start creeping in the direction of where the voices were. And I think his idea of sneaking is like the Pink Panther cartoon.
With very high knees.
Molly starts, and it starts going on all fours, and there's still like a whole, there's still like, 100 feet of walking. Like, you can't do that the whole time.
Yeah, like he's walking like, yeah, like.
I don't know what's fair use.
Amazing. I think that Kodi is goes back to holding Micah's hand.
That's very sweet.
Yeah, I think Fred might help start walking along with them, maybe keep sort of to the side and like using the wall to sort of see where we're going, and like also try to maybe keep out of the way a bit in case anything comes around.
Can we hide behind any of these? Like, are these rock formation or cave formations large enough that we could hide behind them if we needed to? Or is it just
stalagmites?
The stalagmites are large enough probably for one person to fit behind. They're not like behemoth rocks, but and like a pinch,
like if we're sort of all spread out, we can like jump behind them maybe.
But as you're heading back up this cave, and the distance between you and the track above is getting greater and greater, because this is a downward slope. You're not hearing those voices that you were hearing before. But as you do draw like closer and closer to this bend, you do start to see some of that faint green light. And you've sort of at this point hit like that abrupt turn, where there's the track above you about 14 feet up, and then like around the corner and you can see the drop just out of view. And this angle, you sort of would need to like lean out and peek or send someone to investigate to get more of a visual. Would this be a
good time for Kodi's unassuming, maybe, if he can peek around?
I just realized that I only have one adversity token and I need 2 to use it.
Oh, I think I have one. I can give it to you.
Yeah, I would do that then. And if that is okay with you, CJ.
Yeah, could you, just for listeners, could you explain how unassuming works?
Ooh, yeah. Let me pull it up just so I have it right. So unassuming as a trait says, I may spend 2 adversity tokens to not be seen within reason, parentheses, GM's discretion.
I would say this is reasonable.
Thank you. Great. Yeah, I think that Kodi takes some deep breaths and then maybe looks to Fred for some reinforcement. Gets a really stout nod and 2 thumbs up, and Kodi feels very grown up in this moment, getting an older kid's approval. And
Micah will also squeeze his hand before she lets go.
Oh, and Kodi walks forward into the danger. Oh. I'm so nervous. No. Okay, yeah, Kodi walks forward.
Kodi, as you creep around this corner, you can now see you could walk about 3 feet forward more before there's that sudden drop. And that drop is about 20 feet down. But there is a utility ladder that has been clearly installed into what is functionally this like pit within this mine. And you are looking at what seems to be some kind of elaborate laboratory setup. There are a number of these green blobs floating around the space, kind of like cowering back on the opposite side of the pit. Some of the bats have dissipated, but others are still sort of like frenetically flapping about, making intermittent noises. And you see enormous glass canisters, almost like an aquarium or a cylindrical fish tank, installed all around in this pit. There are a number of cabinets. There are a number of thick, enormous computer monitors. And in a lot of these large aquarium-like tanks, there are 8 of these green cloud things floating loose right now. But there are dozens more within the canisters. And the people that were here before seem to have left. And looking further, you can see down on the opposite side of this huge pit. So you're sort of like on one ledge, and then there's a ladder down. And then across the expanse of the pit, you see another ladder up the other side and a door installed there that looks an awful lot like the elevator door in BromCom.
Oh boy, that's a lot.
Micah does have her Polaroid, but I'm not sure if we want to alert them to our presence yet. But if we can figure out a way, I think at that point I would definitely I think Micah would definitely want to get some pictures.
Does it have to flash, or does it just?
Oh yeah, I guess it depends on whatever type it is. I think around this time you'd be able to have Polaroids without flash, and I guess I would think since it's a laboratory, it'd be pretty well lit, so you wouldn't need a flash, maybe.
So the first thing Kodi does is sort of backwards army crawl, so that he's just within view of the other folks, and just gives a thumbs up, does a little person walking gesture with his two fingers, and then big no. Big no sign with his arms to try and say, it's okay, there are no people. Does anybody understand what Cody's trying to say?
I think Hank interprets that as don't go.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
And
yeah, so Hank is just
two really big thumbs up. Okay, so Kodi sees that nobody is coming forward, and so without standing up continues to army crawl over and whispers very
we
quietly.
We all just look down at him.
Whispers very quietly, I think they all left.
What did you see?
There's a huge, it's like the lab at school, but bigger, and remember when we went to the aquarium for that field trip? It's that, but also the biggest computers I've ever seen in my life. It's Star Trek.
Which one? Which Star Trek? Are we talking? I'm trying to think of I think we're still pre-Enterprise. Are we talking original series or DS9? Because they look really different.
I don't think DS9 has come out yet. Because DS9 is after TNG.
90s?
But DS9 is after TNG. Anyway, it's the original series. It's just big.
It's big. Yeah. Of course, Kodi with his parents has seen Star Trek, and I think absolutely Fred has seen it. So we're getting into semantics. Anyways.
Anyway, yeah. So I. Oh, great. Thank you, CJ.
Yeah, because it started before TNG finished.
Yes. Yeah, because there was a crossover. Anyway.
Anyway.
So, yes, Kodi has delivered this information.
Micah writes, I haven't seen Star Trek on her notepad and holds it up so that you guys are gonna move it along.
Oh my god! Fred looks at Kodi and then looks at Micah. It's okay, when we get out of this, we're gonna get some. We have some VHSs back at the house. Well. Anyways,
so
not
should
important.
We go?
Not important.
Should we go get a closer look? If no one's there.
Yeah, there's a ladder.
Okay.
There's a ladder. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I really buried that lead.
Hank is low-key extremely excited and will run and start descending the ladder into the lab.
Wait. No, there's still goo. There's still goo monsters. Just be careful.
Wait, you have to tell us this.
Sorry, I got distracted by the big computers.
That's fair. Big computers are really cool. I get it.
Hank, you can see that the goo definitely notices you. And one of them starts to float towards you, and then a bat kind of swoops at it and it recoils.
Yeah.
So it seems like the bat efficacy is still working a bit. But you have alerted them to your presence.
Sorry, everyone. Then maybe Micah should take some pictures and we should go back the other way.
Micah points at the elevator across the way.
Oh, and it looks like a BromCom elevator.
She puts her hands on her hips and then points at the elevator.
Do you want to? Do we go that way?
She nods.
Well, we should get evidence and then we can go in the elevator.
Yeah, I think maybe we should take some pictures so we can show what's going on. Yeah, and I have Micah has, I think Micah will shrug and nod and pull out her Polaroid, maybe takes a few good pictures that will sort of show the like cave entrance. So there's clearly, you know, the evidence of their access to the mines and use of it and such. And some of the, is it an instant Polaroid camera? I guess Polaroids are instant, maybe?
Yes. It's one of those that prints out the little thing. And
yeah. Do the green glowing clouds show up whenever, you know, you hold it? You don't shake it. You're not supposed to. You just hold it. And do they show up in the image? I don't know why they wouldn't, but I'm just curious.
The green clouds do show up in the image.
That's so weird. I don't know why, but it's cool. So I think she'll take a few, not to run out the whole film, but like one or two that will show sort of the span of it. And again, especially emphasizing the mine access, so that clearly BromCom, which I assume is not general knowledge that BromCom necessarily has access to these abandoned mines.
Hank tries to get into all of the pictures and maybe only succeeds into like the corner of one.
There's a blurry like
peace sign.
Yeah, peace sign.
Could Kodi get a closer look at the tanks if there's stuff in there?
After you guys climb down the ladder, you kind of have free reign of this expansive pit laboratory. And you can go over to the canisters, and there are a few different types. There's one that really does just look like an enormous fish tank with a glass lid. There's another that is cylindrical and seems to be like capped on top. And Kodi, as you approach these, which are all sort of lined up around the edge of one side of the pit, one of these green glob things sort of like presses itself up against the glass towards you.
Whoa, so it can't move through solid objects. It seems like it just has to fill the space of its container, but then it can't move through.
But it ate my gun and your water bottle, so how is it not just eating the tank?
It can't get its mouth around it?
Kodi taps on the tank.
And the cloud responds and like presses itself more up against the glass. And then it sort of reforms into a cloud and then floats up to the top near where the lid is and sort of presses itself up against there.
No, I'm not about to see this thing like octopus escape.
No.
Great. Kodi backs away from that.
Good. Could Fred look around maybe for any kind of like notes or notepads or papers or anything that might have some names or some information on it or something around here? Like if they left anything, or if there are any unlocked drawers or stuff?
Yeah, there's not a ton of what looks like storage or anything, but you do see two things. One is that there are all of these computers, and the other is there's a file folder sitting on on the table next to one of these computers.
Oh, I'm absolutely opening that file folder.
The file folder contains what looks to be some kind of like lab report, diagnostic readout. There's a lot of unnecessarily jargony words, like most scientists who don't want to advance public science understanding would write. But you can discern that this is a report, some kind of test about something called Subject 13. And it reports that like a certain thickness of glass like seems to contain it, that transferring its illusory properties to a different subject was unsuccessful, and that it seems to shrink when not fed.
Is it, could Micah come over, Fred will gesture to Micah and sort of like lay these papers out so that Micah could get a picture of all of them to get a copy of the information without maybe taking it, if we still want to remain sort of secret. Or Fred will turn to the group and says, like, should we take them, or should we take these papers for evidence, or should we just take pictures? What do you think? Or both?
I would take the papers.
Yeah, maybe it'll... Well, it probably won't stop them, but we should take the papers.
Yeah. I think I'll still have Micah take a picture just for backup. But yeah, I think Fred will then go ahead and take the files and put them in her backpack. In one of the like quart-sized Ziploc bags.
Very important. As you guys are standing here around this like table with the massive computer conferring, you can see like behind you the glob that you had been investigating, Kodi, has made its way back down the interior of the tank and is now like pressing itself up against the wall instead of up at the lid again.
Kodi goes over to George and is like, I had no idea that any of this was even possible. I thought that this was all just stuff that happened on TV.
I thought you didn't watch TV.
My Baba lets me watch TV sometimes after everybody else is asleep or when they're out on dates. He brings me McDonald's too.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, grown-ups, you have no idea what grown-ups are doing, so I guess they have all sorts of secrets.
But this is like the worst secret though, right? Like it doesn't get worse than this, does it?
Well, we don't actually know what's happening. We don't know, like, I think we need to figure out why these things are here and what the mayor wants to do with them. As
you are standing here conferring, having this kind of revelation, behind you, behind this computer table, the elevator door dings.
Dungeons and Drama Nerds is produced by Todd Brian Backus, Percival Hornak, and Nicholas Orvis, and is mixed and edited by Anthony Sertel Dean. Our Kids on Bikes game features CJ Linton as the GM, Ella Mock as Kodi Thompson Lee Garcia Smith, Percival Hornak as Hank Boswell, Emma Covert as Fred Hudson, and Esther Yumi Co as George Privanathan. Kids on Bikes was written by Jonathan Gilmour and Doug Levandowski and published by Hunters Entertainment with Renegade Game Studios and Infectious Play Publishing. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at DN Drama Nerds. Check out cast bios on our website, dungeonsanddramanerds.com, and tune in next week for another episode of Dungeons and Drama Nerds.